It's so nice to look out and see friendly faces that I know. It's wonderful. It's usually when I'm walking out, it's a sea of, I have no clue who these people are, but I'm here to talk. So here I go. I want to start us off on the right mood and note for what I'm talking about today, because it's called compassionate leadership. And that's a different type of a title. So I just kind of want to put us in the right frame. And there's this wonderful poem by Linda Ellis, and it was actually written in 1996. And it's called The Dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates of the tombstone, beginning to the end. He noted the first came of the date of birth and spoke the following date with tears, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between the years. For that dash represents all the time that they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that the special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, oh goodness, I don't like that word, with your life's actions to be rehashed, would you be proud of the things they say about you and how you spent your dash? So, let's talk about compassionate leadership. Here's how compassionate leadership entered my life. About 10 years ago, I was doing compassion fatigue, let the healing begin training throughout the United States. And I was running all over the place, and I was literally like visiting places, and I had just built a house, and I joked with people and said, I visit my house once a month. And I'm off the road all the time. So I was on this journey, and I was walking and talking to people about what is compassion fatigue and how do we heal from it and all these wonderful things. And then I realized, probably 2 years into that, I was diagnosed with a tumor in my arm. My doctor had me at stage 4 cancer, sent me off to Shands. Oh my gosh, everybody around me is all worried. And I'm like, oh, it's not cancer, people. I know my body. If it was cancer, I'd know this. It was this really weird thing called a schwannoma. Spell that twice. And a schwannoma is basically just a tumor that wraps around your nerve ending. And it's very, very painful. So how it was diagnosed in me is because I have a high tolerance for pain. So I went to my doctor and I said, just shoot the arm with cortisone. I'm working out. I don't want to stop working out. And she was like, no, I know you too well. And that's how they began the journey. That was my wake-up call. That was my call to say, if I had that dash, what would that dash mean for me? And I thought about it long and hard. And I said, I love what I do. And I love how I affect people. But I'm not completely happy. What makes me happy? So I re-examined it all, hired coaches in my life who were phenomenal. And they kept asking me this question. What at the end of your life do you want to have people say about you? And I said, I want people to know I was compassionate. And I led with compassion. So thus was born compassionate leadership. And what does that mean? So compassionate leadership is this. It's very simple. It's being conscious. It's being aware. It's being authentic. And it's being trustworthy. Those are the things about compassion leadership. So as you know, when you start on a journey and you start exploring these words that come into play, other people have been doing the same thing. And you start finding them. It's interesting how law of attraction works. So as I was on that journey, I started reading some things. And I kept running across, of course, Oprah, who is a compassionate leader among all of them all. But what she said was, compassion does not necessarily mean that people walk up and tell you their life history 24/7. Compassion means that you work with them on becoming a better person in their own arena. because their happiness is just as important. And the other thing that I learned throughout my life is this: the only person I can change is me. I cannot change anybody else, no matter how much I want to fix them. And boy, sometimes do I want to fix somebody, you know? You'll run into that person and you're just like, ooh, if I could just, and there's nothing you can do. So, compassion means simply this. It means that you understand that that other person is where they are in their journey. You accept that. You might give them ideas and thoughts and suggestions of certain things that you've come across, and then you let it go and let them come on their own discovery. A compassionate leader is not one who opens that revolving door. Has anybody in here known anybody who has a revolving door where somebody comes in and they just, I call it verbal diarrhea. They just sit down and just, whack, and you're like, what just happened? Oh my gosh. That is not being a compassionate leader. A compassionate leader looks at you and says to them, gee, it sounds like you're undergoing some stuff. What can you do to change that? You turn it to them. And then they go, the confused puppy dog look. Huh? You're not going to help me solve this problem? Nope, this is all on you. And that's what a compassionate leadership does. So compassionate leadership is all of those things. So as I said, you can run across different things as you come along. And the one I ran across was Jeff Weiner. Anybody heard of Jeff Weiner? He's the CEO of LinkedIn. Yes. Phenomenal man, by the way. He is doing what he calls conscious leadership. Guess what the key ingredient in conscious leadership is? Compassion. Compassion. So he says, first, their company is all about helping their members grow economically. So what they do is they incorporate data. From data, they incorporate knowledge. From knowledge, they incorporate understanding. And from understanding, they create compassion. And that is what LinkedIn has turned into, is this compassion component. So one of their leaders that works with Jeff is called Jeff Kaufman. Anybody in here heard of Jeff Kaufman? He has a great book. It's called Conscious Business. Great. So now I'm on this journey and I'm like going, oh, all these other people have all this information that I just love, and how can I incorporate it into compassionate leadership? Then I started thinking and I thought, you know, it's the same thing though with when anybody in here ever heard of the Serenity Prayer? Okay, so when you think about compassion and you think about leadership, think about the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change anybody else around me. I can only change me. The courage to change the things that I can. I can change myself, my circumstances, my beliefs, my understandings. And the wisdom to know the difference. And that is truly what compassionate leadership is about. Taking that poem that has been around for so many years in so many different ways. And all we are doing is taking compassionate leadership, and it's kind of like East meets West with medication. And we are taking those philosophies and those ideas, and we're incorporating it into business. So the irony comes in here now. I started really doing this compassionate leadership, and I was writing about it, and I was all excited about it. And I thought, well, gee, I wonder how this is going to come to fruition. The very first company that approached me said, you know, we're having all these problems with our managers and communication and everything else, and this is what I need to have happen. And I said, okay, so talk to me about what these needs are. And she explained to me that in her company, she really wanted the communication to happen more because she felt that everybody was being misunderstood, and there was a lot of, how did she put it to me? She said, oh yes, she said simply that the managers feel that they are being walked over. So I smiled and I looked at her and I said, why are they saying that? And she said, well, because individuals are challenging their authority. And I started to smile and I said, oh, this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to work with you guys. And I've designed this program and I'm working with them slowly but surely, and it's so fun to watch the little light bulb go off when I say, you cannot change anybody but you. It's kind of like the Complaint-Free World Pledge. Has anybody heard of that one? Oh, another book you have to read. Complaint-Free World is written by a pastor. His name is Will Bowen. Complaint-Free World was put out by him because he was a pastor and he found that all his parishioners kept coming up and complaining to him. Kind of like the verbal diarrhea thing, you know? So he was like, what in the world is going on with this? Everybody just comes up and talks to me all the time and all they do is complain. And then he realized what just came out of his mouth was a complaint. So he started thinking about what is a complaint and how does it work? So he really just designed his program. And his goal was to go 29 days without complaining. Why 29 days? Habit development, thank you. See, I'm talking to the fire. It's habit development. It took him 6 months. So as I was undergoing that tumor thing, I decided, oh, why not challenge myself to not complain while I'm undergoing all of this? And I did. And guess how long it took me? 6.5 months. And the very day I went complaint-free, the very next morning I woke up, and what did I say? Oh my God, it's cold outside. I was like, oh, really? I gotta start all over? I only managed 24 hours without a complaint. So one of the things I'm talking to them about is, what is it for a complaint? When a customer comes in and starts to complain, how can you switch that around? And that is being conscious leadership and compassion, and showing compassion and understanding, and just kind of going with it. And that is what this whole journey is about, is remembering the serenity. I can accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So there's another piece to this, because we all have it. It's called an ego. Yes, we all have those. What a horrible thing to have, that ego. An ego can be good and an ego can be bad. An ego can be good in one way where, you understand that, hey, I'm not a bad speaker. I can talk, I can engage people, I can get that. That's great. But an ego can also get to the point where I call it edging goodness out, or edging God out, as some people say. For me, it's edging goodness out, because God gives goodness to me. So that's how I believe. But there's all kinds of beliefs, right? So edging goodness out is part of the formula of the compassion leadership. So if you remember those two things, the serenity prayer, and the ego means you're edging out goodness, then guess what? You're going to have a component that starts in your company or with your friends or with your family, because I use this with my mom on Complaint-Free World especially. I had a t-shirt that had a big old thing that said no complaint, and I didn't realize unconsciously every time I went to visit her I had it on. This was before she moved in with me, granted. And finally, the fourth time, she put her hands on her hips, and she's only 5 foot now, mind you. She's this little itty bitty thing, and I'm 5'8", so we're like yin and yang here. And she looks at me and goes, I know I complain. And I just looked at her and I'm like, what in the heck happened? I just walked in the door. What are you talking about? Just every time you come in, you have that Complaint-Free World on. And I'm like, oh, that was for me, not you. It really was. I didn't want to complain to you. You don't need to hear my problems or my worries. It was about a reminder for myself. But she took it personally. So remember, the words that we say can be taken personally without us even realizing why. And I'm going to close because I only have 1 minute or a couple minutes left. But I want to close with this because of today's tumultuous times and where we are. Today, may there be peace within. May you trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in yourself and others. May you use the gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given to you. May you be content with yourself just the way you are. Let this knowledge settle into your bones. And allow your soul the freedom to sing, dance, praise, and love. It is there for each and every one of us, and the author to that is unknown. I would love to know that. So I want to thank you and open it up right now. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk to you. I've got 5 minutes to questions, so I'm opening it up. Yes?
When you observe that it's cold, it's not a complaint, it's an observation. I think when you blame things, then it becomes a complaint.
Thank you for that.
And I just wanted your feedback on, it is cold, it's a fact. So do you see anything that is an observation of something that's undesirable as a complaint, how do we react to it?
How do I see it? Or is,
But if you saw it as a complaint,
Yes.
you observe it's cold. To me, it's an observation of what is. But now when I blame or when I see negativity in it, then it's more of a negative response.
okay, and I agree with you 100%. For me, I know my body, and when I said it, I was complaining. Yes, because when I complain, I feel it right here. For me, that is like where I worry, I stress, I complain. It goes right there, and I get that knot. I don't know how many people feel it in different areas in their bodies, but that for me, that's right where it is. And I always joke and say, oh, I'm going to start that ulcer again, you know. But yeah, that for me, that's the complaint. That's how I knew I complained. And I had to start all over again. It only took 3 months that time. Yes.
So if you have a complainer in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and I get the responsibility of how you react to it,
Mm-hmm.
it's on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time when it's okay, and then let's say this person is a family member,
Mm-hmm.
to break off communication? And if you feel that it's,
How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I could do it,
Mm-hmm.
but there's times where I feel like there needs to be some distance.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's impacting me in a way that, you know, it is beyond my control. I know I'm not going to change this person,
Mm-hmm.
but at some point it starts to wear me down.
Is there a way that you can create a distance for yourself for a little while?
I don't have to answer the phone when they call.
There you go. You just answered your own question. There you go. There you go. How many of us have ever had that happen where the phone rang and you went, I call it the deflated tire syndrome, you know? The whole body just collapses with it. Yeah, we don't have to pick up and answer that phone. Okay, you had a question?
Well, no, but
Okay.
I can relate to that though in social settings where you get in acquaintances that come around in social settings just to vent and complain, and you don't really want to hear it because you have your own issues and you're not trying to dwell on your own issues.
So what could you do differently?
I try to avoid the situation or just try to listen and let them get it out, because once they get it out, then they sometimes feel better. But it's like they have no one to talk to. So I try to turn it into a positive, and you know, but I do it very badly. I complain a lot, but I have pain and daily struggles, so I try not to complain, but I like this approach.
May I offer something?
Yes.
I don't believe that you do it very badly. I believe that you do it to the best of your ability at that moment.
It's coping,
Yeah.
Coping has a lot to do with it, how to cope with something, or knowing the tools of how not to complain, or be aware of it, conscious.
There you go. So you're changing yourself when you do that. There you go.
I love it.
Awesome. Yes.
What tools did you use to track when you were complaining and when you weren't, to know when you had gone 24 hours?
See this? I have a whole drawer full of these. I started off with, they had a little purple band, and I just switched it from one arm to the other. And then I realized it's just as easy for me to make many of these. Now, when I do the challenge again, I make sure that I make them very strong and sturdy, and they're double-stranded, because otherwise I have actually seen this happen. When I was speaking one time, it shot across the room, which is a little embarrassing when you have all those beads flying. And then I had the rubber band one that I was moving, and it literally broke in half and like shot across and smacked somebody in the forehead, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So I recommend using something that is easily bendable and that you can do. I have used with one of my clients though, who always uses rings. They don't believe in any other kind of jewelry. So I asked them, can a ring fit on both sides of your hand? And they said, yeah. And I said, then just move the ring. That's all you have to do.
It's a ponytail.
Yeah, ponytail for women, yeah. But yeah, for him it was a ring. It fit on both sides. So he just moved it back and forth. So, any other questions? Yes, one more comment.
You talk about compassion leadership, and I think what you have applied that needs to be reiterated is compassion for self.
Yes,
And it has to start with that.
yes. Thank you. Her comment was it has to begin with self. And that is the #1 priority. If we don't like ourselves, if we're not compassionate for ourselves, how can we be compassionate for anybody else? If we don't do our own self-care, how do we care for others? And free from being a long-time caregiver for my mom and my stepdad and everybody around in my family, yes, self-care is crucial. It's critical, it's the component. Questions, comments? We good?